Yakuza is such a weird game series, but I genuinely love it. It's a mix of wacky, over-the-top combat with some truly heartbreaking scenes. Make it they just make it such an oddity because I can honestly say I have never genuinely played a game like Yakuza before. And for someone like me who doesn't really play many games from Japan, albeit not even very many subbed, but recently, after I finished Persona 5 and then moved on to Persona 5 Royale, I decided to start Yakuza 0, and by Jesus Christ did I not regret that. And by a year later, I just got into Yakuza Kiwami 2 after literally finishing Yakuza Kiwami last night, and I really felt the need to make this video. Now, a little history. You may think Yakuza 0 was my first Yakuza game, but you'd be wrong. It was in fact back in my formative years. I remember getting gifted Yakuza, the original on PS2. Jeez, must have been about maybe 2005, 2006. I'm not sure. But I remember when I was that young, that when I popped this game into my PS2 Slim at the time, I felt something was different about this game. It wasn't my usual Ben 10. It wasn't, albeit my San Andreas. It wasn't. It wasn't the Warriors. God, what a number of games to go through. But still, I even remember playing it, even struggling sometimes, but my enjoyment never wavered. This game was something that I just couldn't describe, and I still have the still image of PS2 era Kiryu turning his head around when the lightning flashes when the cops come in the door. That scene is still ingrained into my head all these years later, whether it be me not fully understanding the context of what I was playing at the time, or maybe something different. I don't know. But even then, versus now, I can never say I still have played anything like Yakuza. I never got far into that one in 2005, the original. I remember getting into a bar and just getting my ass handed to me because I just didn't understand how to regain health. But I still remember how much I liked that game, as clear as day. Now, as I said before, Yakuza ain't your normal type of game, even down to not having a dub, and albeit from the original release in the Western markets, but it stuck with the subs onwards. At first I was apprehensive, but eventually I could just play any way as I could speak Japanese. Yakuza ain't your normal type of game, even down to not having a dub and sticking with the subs, albeit apart from the original. At first I was very apprehensive, but eventually I couldn't play it any other way, as I may not speak Japanese, but I could still feel the raw emotion in the voice acting. Say what you want, but the voice actor for Goro Mijima, especially in Yakuza 0, oh my god, it was just so brilliant. Even though I can't speak Japanese, I could feel like the pain and the weight of what he was saying when he was talking, and oh, it was just so good. Now, Kiryu's a wee bit of a robot, and that's grand, that's his character, but even he has his moments of just absolute fucking badassery. Yakuza mainly consists of roaming around a smallish open world packed to the brim with quality side content and a jaw-dropping map. But Yakuza still has many mechanics and such I don't think I've seen in very many other games like it, or even in one separate. Now, I don't expect Call of Duty to be able to let you sit and eat at a fast food stand, but these are very two different games, but two have very different ways of going about things, which is why I appreciate Yakuza so much, because it's such a breath of fresh air. Now, sometimes the side content can sometimes overshadow the main story, and while that's not a bad thing, it's just you have a habit of, at least for me anyway, to get stuck running about doing these side content and just generally forget about the main story because you're having that much of a blast just beating the crap out of fools. And Yakuza, it always comes down to one thing: how good you are at throwing your fucking hands. Because 90% of the time, when you're playing, you're going to be leaving people in the hospital fucking Batman style. I have heard Yakuza described as a beat-em-up soap opera, and it's not hard to see why people think that its basic mechanics are of a simple beat-em-up, with plenty of side content to keep you busy for a while. But I would argue that the meat of the games are the stories, be it the side content or just the main story, and the actual beat-em-up aspects really just make you so much more ingrained into these stories. Because you see in these stories, you see people go through years of their lives, decades even, and you get attached to so many people. And usually what happens in one game may only have an effect 2 games later. Now granted, I've just started Yakuza Kiwami 2, but what I think is the main villain out of Kiwami 2, Ryuji Gado, was a side quest in Yakuza 0. Now I didn't know that, but when I seen that, I popped big time. Now, the Yakuza games, they have multiple twists and turns, and shocking reveals, deaths and betrayals, and while it may not be along the same lines as your normal soap opera, like Emmerdale, or for you American folks, Dallas, or for your Friends fans, Days of Our Lives, it manages to be what I call the Macho Man soap opera. Oh yeah! But afterwards, you won't care about anything else but seeing where it goes, and then beating the ever-loving fucking shit out of the person that caused all this problems for all the people that you care about. Now, I can't say very much due to spoilers, given how many years that game's been out by now, but for these fights can be so satisfying. Some of these fights have like emotional stakes that you have put into it and the characters have put into it. So when you are playing a boss and you're fighting and you see some things that just rattle you, you just feel like fucking kicking ass, and whenever you just do, oh, there's no better feeling than just laying some boy out with a heat action and just putting him through a fucking wall. Frank Murphy style.
When I get home tonight, I want to see half of those assignments completed, or as God is my witness, I will put you through that fucking wall!
We're outside, genius! There is no wall!
Then I will build one, and I will fucking put you through it!
In summary, I feel like Yakuza's best quality is its story, and I honestly would recommend it to just about anyone who loves a good story and could hack a dub. But anyone else that wants to get lost in a power fantasy of being Kazumakiru and being able to take on mobs of enemies without breaking a sweat, then Yakuza may have some stuff for you. And now Yakuza, it may have some wacky stuff as well going on, but it just helps ground it in a reality for me. And for those reasons, I love Yakuza and can't wait to see where it goes next.